What's good? It's your brother YK the Truth, and the Pretendians are at it again. Topcatz goes and misinterpret David Eltis to try to make us believe that he agrees with them that black people are indigenous to America. The black people that was here in 1866. So David Eltis wrote the book called Transatlantic Slave Trade, an atlas of the transatlantic slave trade. So David Eltis agrees with us that the slave trade happened, right? But see, what they try to do is misinterpret the man. So let's play the video. I'm gonna show you what they did, right? These abos ain't slick.
All right, so we give y'all a little clip, a little snippet.
You notice how they always give you a little snippet, a little clip, because when you got a little clip, you could take things out of context. It's always a little clip, a little edit, right? That's how they spin the narrative. But I'm gonna show you. Watch this.
We give y'all a little snippet.
A few minutes ago, I don't find any case at all in any part of the Americas where a European
the 14th Amendment, which Trump is using right now. In my research, will be the indigenous people of America.
Yeah, that's for sure.
4 million people that are speaking about it. The Civil War. During the time of the Civil War, 1866. During the time of the Civil War, 1866. The 14th Amendment, which Trump is using right now as his primary. He's using the 14th Amendment. I mean, he's using the using the.
So let's stop there. Let me give y'all the context, right? All right, they trying to spin it like he's saying that black people are from here and we indigenous to America. All he's saying is that after the slave trade was abolished in 1807, right? Majority of the slaves after that came from natural population. That means Africans who intermingled with other Africans or natives or Europeans in America. So this is why Topcatz is saying 1866. Because at that time, it wasn't no more Africans being transported to the Americas for slavery. Okay? The slave trade was abolished in 1807. So, with that being said, the only people that would have been the slaves were the ones who were already native Africans to America. This is why he says it out his own mouth. He calls them Native African American.
You find almost no Africans. They were, of course, Native African Americans. And that's not something that people have taken on board.
If he felt that those black people were the Native Americans, he would have just called them a Native American. He wouldn't have said Native African American. So y'all guys got to stop using this clip. Now, what they would do, right? They would pass this on, and then everybody start spreading a lie. And then the more people that say it, it's going to make it like it's true. Just like they did with the Rick Kittles when they said DNA was only 0.1% accurate, when he never said that. When he said that they only use that much of your DNA.
If you're interested in exploring a tiny bit of your DNA and trace its ancestry, we can do that.
When you say it's a tiny little amount,
it's less than 0.1%.
And that's pretty teeny.
So no, David Eltis is not saying black people are from America. He's not saying that. All he's saying is that the black people After slavery, after the slave trade was abolished, the slaves that were here came from natural population. The 4 million came from natural population. But that's not going to stop the Abos, the pretendians, from playing with his words. But I'm not going to let you do that. YK ain't going to let you do that. Let's play it.
Citizenship, the 4 million people, as he said, it was to the women and children of slaves. So I don't think that would include the European, because in my family, slave schedules, my grandfather, who had came over from his family came from Switzerland back in
So his peoples came from Switzerland, right? But yet he thinks he's indigenous to America. But his peoples came from Switzerland.
the 1700s. But he married an Indian, a Cherokee Indian. Now, and the Cherokee Indian is his wife, but she is listed as his slave, and their son is listed as the slave as well. But he being of European stock, he's not.
So basically, he married his slave. But here's the thing. These are the same people that'll tell you they don't come from slaves, right? It's still a slave, no matter how you sugarcoat it. Just like if a European had a slave that he was with, she was still a slave, no matter how you sugarcoat it.
So that takes me also in the writing, in that legislation, it was written that it was for Indians not taxed, or Indians who basically left their tribe and became U.S. citizens. Right. So, and it also made sure that it said that the aliens were not included, the illegals, which would be considered the African in the situation, because in America, not until 1870, the Africans.
Did he just say the African? The what? Nah, I'm tripping. Am I tripping? Did he say the African?
The African in the situation, because in America, not until 1870, the Africans get ability to even own land or any. The African in the situation, because in America, not until 1870, the Africans get ability to even own land or anything like this.
So this goes against the whole Aboriginal, it was told in reverse thing. Because if the Europeans were the ones that was the slaves, and the African Americans, or as you guys would say, the indigenous people owned them, how come the Europeans is the ones that's not allowing them in the census and not documenting them? So how could it be told in reverse if Europeans are taking y'all out the census? Yo, y'all gotta hold this L. This whole pretending Aboriginal shit is dead, man. It's dead. Y'all out here trying to twist up David Eltis' words. This man never said that we are indigenous to America. That's not what he's saying. But y'all like the clip shit.
So this would have to be talking about the indigenous people of America.
Right.
No.
Say to that.
No.
Yeah. So I agree.
Now look, he stops it. He stops it, but he don't even let us know what he agree with. There's a reason he clips it. There's a reason he clips it. See, you thought you was slick. You thought you was slick, huh, Topcatz? But I ain't gonna let it slide. Let's get it.
Research. How important was cotton?
It was critically important in the 19th century, but it was not in any sense dependent on the slave trade. The striking demographic fact about the Americas is that the black population of the US, which of course amounted at the time of the Civil War to something like 4 million people.
Now, he said at the time of the Civil War. So that's at the time of the Civil War. 18, because remember, you had the Militia Act in 1862. You had the slave abolishment in 1865. So we're talking about at the time of the Civil War. Now we got to remember that at that time, there were already Africans, descendants who've been mating while here in America. That doesn't mean that he's saying you guys were from here, like you always been here. So what he's saying is that in 1866, the 4 million people that was in Africa, in America, were here because of natural population. So that means that they did not come from Africa, but they was already mating as a product of their ancestors being in Africa, the African ancestors. This is why he's going to call them Native African. But they try to twist it. These abos think they slick, man. He's not saying that we are indigenous to America. In the original video, it's called Exploring the Transatlantic Slave Trade. This is why these guys reached out to him, because they thought they could get him on and then they could talk about that, and then they say indigenous, and then they twist it up, and then they could clip it, and then it's all on the internet saying, well, the man who did slave voyages said that we was already here. He never said that. Stop the bullshit. Stop it. He never said that.
Those people did not come from Africa. They came as a result of natural population growth.
Yeah.
Thank you. Natural population growth. That means that the Africans who were brought here, right, their ancestors made it, and it was more Africans. They didn't come from Africa. The 4 million people didn't come from Africa at one time. This is what he's saying. Now listen.
The slave trade to the US was shut down largely in 1807. Not completely, but largely. So
Thank you. So if the slave trade was stopped in 1808, they made 60 years. 60 years. No slaves was coming here. No Africans were coming here. So in 1860, those slaves would have had to been of natural population. Do you understand now? Do you get it now? He's not saying that means they're indigenous to America. That's not what he's saying. I know a lot of you abos have low comprehension skills, but that's not what he's saying. Sister Sharice must have reached out to him, had him on the channel. They did a whole bill. He didn't mention nothing about black people being already here. He did not mention nothing about the whole bill was about the slave trade and how the slave trade happened. This man has written books, 4 or 5 books, saying how the slave trade happened. But yet, silly abos are going to try to twist up his words to make it sound like he's saying something that he's not. And he's going to still call him Native African American.
If you look at the census data for the US in 1870, which is when
1870. So we got to put context. Listen.
Black people were finally included, you find almost no Africans. They were, of course, Native African Americans. They were, of course, Native African Americans.
What did he say? Native African Americans. You got to hold this L. You got to hold this L. You tried, Topcatz. You tried. Yo, y'all got to share this video, man. Share this video.
Find almost no Africans.
Share this video.
They were, of course, Native African Americans.
Native African Americans. That means they was native to America because they was born here, but they descend from Africa. If you don't understand that, it's something wrong with you. It's something wrong with you.
And that's not something that people have taken on board.
Exactly.
It's nothing else to talk about. You tried, Topcatz. So what he's saying is that at the time of 1866, right? That's 60 years. No Africans is being brought here. Well, some are illegally, but they're not going to have those ones documented. Plus, we wasn't documented until 1870, right? So everything after that would have to be, right, from the people who was already mating here, the Africans that were already mating here. And you know what? You know how I'm gonna put the icing on the cake? I'm gonna use my own genealogy. And my own genealogy is gonna body bag you, right? My fourth great parents were born in Africa. This is on the 1880 census. He was born in the 1800s. He was born in America. His parents were born in Africa. He was a native African American. This is what he means. He's not saying that you was already here in the sense of you're indigenous to this planet. I mean, to America, excuse me. That's not what he's saying. Because when you say words, things like indigenous, native, it can also be synonymous with birth, born. You get what I'm saying? Native, born here. So that's why they call us American, African American. Because our ancestors descend from Africa, but we were born in America. But you guys tried. Well, I came back, man. I'm going to be making some more videos. So there's been a lot of shit going on since I've been gone. But I'm back now, man. Topcatz, y'all got to hold that L. Y'all tried. It's your brother YK. I'm out. Peace.